I don't. Hi, everybody. This is Jessica Brell. I am here for episode number 6 of Everyday Inspiring Women. And I am super excited to have my dear friend, Emilee Fernandes, here with us. She is a busy woman, runs her own business, Gem Aesthetics, locally in Southwestern Ontario in Harrow. And she's going to talk a lot more about herself and how she got to where she is today. But I want to tell a story of how we met, and I love these stories, and I've been finding almost everyone that I talk to is like, the story of how we met is like, so if I didn't believe in the universe before this, there's no way I don't now. And I was at a big, a thriving women's event, and it was charity for a local Pajama Angels, and Heather Chauvin was running it, and it was an awesome day. And like, Emilee, I never win anything. I'm that person. It's like, I just win. And we did a draw, and my name got pulled for $100 gift card to Gem. And I'm like, what's Gem? Like, that's not true. I'd seen your sign when you were working in the hair salon in Amherstburg a couple times. Anyway, and they call my name. I'm literally dancing across the floor to collect my prize. And I had booked, it was just over a year ago, I came in for a mani-pedi. And one of the ladies who worked for you did it. She was great, but I brought my daughter, and you were like, here, play with this. And it was like, I felt instantly comfortable and at home in your salon. And when I left, I'm like, thinking to myself, I can't wait to go back to get another service done, because I just loved how I instantly felt in your place of business. And it's like, and every time I go, I'm like, oh, I just feel so good. And it's not even just because you pamper the crap out of everybody, but it's like, it's that feeling that you get energy. I'm really, big into energies, and like that energy you feel from the second you walk in the door. So
I'm glad you mentioned that. I feel like that's like the big thing. Like, that's like when I ask anybody, how is everything today? And everyone's like, it just feels like home, and it's so welcome and friendly, and it's really that small town kind of feel with all these other luxuries associated with it, which is really, really exciting. And I think that in a world where we literally have so many options to choose whatever we want to choose and where we go, what sets you apart is truly the experience. And it's a conversation I have with my staff on a regular basis about customer experience and how do we tap into that. And it's an intuition. Like you said, it's about the energy of that space. And I do a lot of work to set that intention for that space every day, every week. I really focus on how are we going to up that? So I'm glad that it matters, and it
does matter. And I will, not that you're that far, but it's, I'll drive 20 minutes just to be at your salon. Like, it's worth it, that drive out there. And I know a lot of people, and it's that care you take, because I think I went once for just like, it was a 20-minute free, like, what? Like, you spend 20 minutes for free consulting my face and me answering every question I have. And it was just like, yeah, I'll buy whatever you want to sell me at this point, because the service is just incredible. So,
because we actually care. I think that's the difference, is that it's like, I'm not here to sell you stuff. Everyone's trying. I think, everyone has a product. Everyone has something that they're trying to accomplish. And it's about making that relationship with people. I remember when I first started my very first big girl job, as I like to call it, it was my biggest job I ever had, but I was really young. And I remember walking through an airport, and I saw this book, and it was People by You. And I read it, and it resonated so much with me, because it's not about what I was selling or what I was doing at that time in my life, but it was just connecting with people.
Yeah.
And just making people feel comfortable. And how many people turns into a therapy session now when we're doing things, but it's great. Yeah, I love it. Thanks, Jess.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, you're very welcome. I just funny how things happen. And, would I have come to your salon had I not want to? Maybe eventually, but the universe had to play a part because we had to be friends. So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. So, okay. So more about you? Like, what about your bio? Is there anything you want to fill in, like, about, I love your story about, in school, like your grades in school, and that, if you don't mind doing that.
Okay, so I grew up in a family of, there were 5 kids. We are a very unconventional family in the ways of, we just like flew by the seat of our pants. Everybody took care of each other. It was a big team effort. I was number 2 out of 5. I have an older sister who never played that older sister role. She was really good at waiting for me to do things, and then she'd kind of come along, and I was always first, but I always, from a young age, wanted to be number 1. I always wanted to be first. There's videos of me as a kid, and I'm like, get out of my way. Like, I'm coming first, and putting my shoes on, I'm going to do it first. I have to be the leader. And that's a trait that I think I've remembered and is very common throughout my whole life, was I had to be first and I had to be different. Yeah. And I wanted to always do something that somebody else wasn't doing. And I've accomplished that, I guess. But I guess throughout my life, a lot of my struggles were, you can't be the boss. You can't be the boss. You can't be so bossy. But my grandpa always called me the boss. Yeah. And I think that in a era where our parents didn't know how to handle these really driven kids, yes. We were just bossy kids. And my parents did a really wonderful job trying to give me the direction on the, keep me on that road, keep me in my lane, and really just try to balance me out. And sometimes I really came across aggressive, and I just was going to say it how I was going to say it. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up because I think I was just really, I call myself global. Like I can relate to a lot of people. Like yeah. I can be in a room with anybody, and I would really try to make any kind of conversation, make them feel comfortable. And that's something, even growing up in school, I was either the bitch or I was like just global, and people could relate to me in whatever capacity. And that was kind of what I did. In high school, I decided that I was going to go away for school. I always said to the guidance counselor, I want to do something different. I want to do what everyone else isn't doing. And one day this course popped up, and it was coaching and sport development for figure skating. And if I had to think about what my happiest days were, it was the days that I got to volunteer on the ice with kids coaching. And I was like the head PA, and I'd run things, and it just was a natural transition. So I said, this is what I'm going to school for. And I go into the guidance counselor's office, I had this paper, and I remember just feeling these like super happy, like I'm so proud I figured it out, like so excited. I go in, and they look at you and they go, but you're so much more than that. You could be anything you wanted to be because you're so smart. And why would you choose that? I found myself in school, right? So I chose this career path in a community college, and everyone's like, what do you mean? Like, oh my God, no, like you're so capable. But I went regardless. Like I did the interview in Toronto. I remember like, I still was like all about it. And they're looking at me like, why'd you even want to come here? But it was a passion thing. I'm like, I have to do this because I always aligned to the fact that I'm going to do something that makes me feel good, something that I love, and it would all work out. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that's what it was. So I was a synchronized figure skater here in the area. And I decided that I was going to audition for a team in Toronto. And so I pack up my bags one weekend, and I go to these tryouts. I literally get my butt kicked. Yeah. Those tryouts. I'm like, wow, like these kids are way more advanced than I ever was. They have so much going for them. And I don't know half the shit. I was just trying to keep up. Like I'm like watching people. I'm like trying to run around just to keep up. So I go home and back to my aunt's house, and I pass out, and I slept the entire night. I wake up the next day, go back to tryouts, and I'm like the last person to get called in for the tryouts. And it's my grade 12 year, and they said, well, you've made the team. We'd love to have you. And I'm like, I start crying. I'm like, are you guys serious? Like, this is for real. Like, this is so crazy. Like, little small town kid, making it on the junior national skating team. I'm like, this is insanity. I'm like, oh my God, okay. They're like, you have work to do. I'm like, okay, I can do it. So they said, but we start spring training camp in 3 weeks. And I'm like, okay. I go to the guidance counselor's office when I get back on Monday, and I said, I've made the junior national skating team. We need to find a school in Oakville. I'm moving in with my dad's aunt and uncle, and I'm leaving. Yeah. And my teachers didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know how to wrap up my semester. The school didn't know what to do with me. Everyone was really, they've never experienced this before. So I left of school, and I left and moved to Toronto. I've never driven on a highway before in my life, like just county roads and like, hey, we're gonna figure it out. And so I spent a lot of time in guidance at my new school. It was amazing. They transferred all my course credits over the funny thing was we had a grade 12 karaoke class with a beautiful teacher of ours. And it was just for my friends, and it was fun. Like, it was just like, it was music credit, but it was fun. And it was a small school, so we got away with murder.
Yes.
And I remember showing up the very first day to my music class. And they're like, musicians. They're like, what instrument do you play? And I'm like, I don't. So they handed me a triangle and a tambourine and told me to play along. That was literally my grade 12 credit.
Amazing.
So I went to school and they worked with me, and I was really fortunate to have that experience to see that people can really be flexible, and tried to make new friends and just integrate and experience different things in a bigger situation and setting. Came time to graduation, and I said to my old school, okay, I'll be home for graduation and I'm coming back, and everyone goes, yeah. Right before I walk on stage, they said, you don't get any awards. You don't get, you didn't qualify, you left. So I didn't get a skating award. I didn't get a bursary. I was on student council. I ran Ontario Secondary School Students Association. I had all these big credentials, and I think I had over 550 hours of community service. And I didn't qualify at my new school, and I didn't qualify at my old school. And I felt really defeated. And I think that was really a huge moment in my life where I had to look at the validation that I was seeking from everyone else to tell me that it was enough.
Yeah.
And now that I look at it, I understand that I had to align to the why I did it. I did it because I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I did it because it made me feel good, and not because I truly wanted the award at the end of the day. So I went to school and I did, my first round of schooling and coaching, and I always felt bitter, about that being screwed over kind of feeling.
Right.
And that hurt, and sobbing through graduation ceremonies and just being so tied to that. But it was a big part of a lesson for me in terms of really why we do what we do. Mm-hmm. And we're only in it for the awards. I mean, you're not going to get it. And so I feel like trends in my life were always like, you're not receiving what you think you deserve. And that was always a big thing for me, because I have great expectations. And it's kind of carried on that theme throughout my life. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to receive this, but it doesn't come.
Right.
So why didn't it come?
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. And it goes into that spiral, but it really has nothing to do with you.
Right.
And so learning that from a young age, I was quite wise. I was quite mature. And then progressed on through. Yeah. That phase of my life, I ended up staying on the junior national team for 2 years, traveling all over Europe. So, I mean, I had more experience than bursaries could have awarded me. And yes. I wasn't in a financial position where I needed that money. So I always try to come back to that, right? And hold compassion for those people who probably maybe they needed that. Maybe that was their only way they were going to be able to do the things that they had to do. Yeah. And I went back to school for medical aesthetics in Toronto. I stayed, and then I started coaching the theater teams for the national team. Met some really great friends, and became the director of education at the Canadian Beauty College right from school after aesthetics. And I was teaching, and I was doing career counseling and all these things by the age of 21. Yeah. And I had a big job.
That's a huge job, for sure.
So it's my big girl job, but I received abundance in other ways later in life. And I think that was a really big lesson too. Just to say, like, yeah, I got the shit kicked out of me when I was, 18 or, 17, and I'm now 21, and most friends are still in school, student debts, and I'm making huge commission checks and doing a job that I am really great at, and discovering a side of me that I was never really given the opportunity to explore. So it was really cool.
That's amazing. There's so much in there I want to pull out, but it's like, as a parent, you're a parent, you have 2 young children, and, and I think for me, what I pull from as a parent going, how can I, make sure that I'm supporting my kids, what their passions are? Because objectively, I could look and I could totally agree with the guidance counselor going, like, what are you talking about? You have the highest grades, and what are you doing? And because you're so you, and it's like, no, this is what I'm doing. So stick it, guidance counselor.
It was like, I'll make my own phone calls. I'll make my own situation happen. But I think sometimes it's really hard for us to let go of what we think is best for our children. And sometimes they know best, sometimes they tell us what they need. And we're so in our own way about how it reflects on us you know, if my kid only becomes a welder, you know, some people may frown upon that. My grandfather's company was built on a man who had no education, who was just a welder,
yeah,
who had great skill, and now has built a very, you know, large company that has done some great works and been able to provide, you know, our families for lots of things, for us to do the other things. So that child choosing to be a welder when they have the potential to be great, you know, greater than that in our minds, being, you know, my dad's family was always like, oh, my dad's mom's Portuguese, and she's a little old school. So she said, you know, you got to be a doctor or a teacher.
Right.
Those are the most influencing people in this world, and those are where it goes. And so I think sometimes it's hard to see past that, but yes, you can, but I inspire people every day.
Yes.
You know,
you are a teacher.
People, yeah. I touch 8 people a day, and I have great influence. And I think that the gifts that we're given, we can apply them in any situation.
Mm-hmm.
In any way. And it's hard as a parent, like you say, to even, I think about it with my kids, you know, what am I going to say when my kids say, I'm not going to school, I'm going traveling the world? And I just hope that I hold that space and say, yes, I hope you do travel the world. And I hope that these are all the things you do and the lessons you get from it and learn. And it's amazing.
It's true. Yeah, agreed. That's what I aspire to be as a parent as well. And, you know, I started off parenting before my own personal development journey was really wonderful. I started off parenting going, you're doing this and you're doing this and this is what you're doing, because I thought I was helping hold them to a higher standard so that they could hold themselves to a higher standard. And then as I'm going, my kids are seeing the big shift to go, I'm going, what are you passionate about? What do you love to do? What do you want to do? Like what, you know, and letting them lead the way and me just trying to support them and not judge it, which is sometimes hard, but it's important.
It's really hard. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. So that was like, my first question is really around, you know, tell us some of your story and obstacles that you've overcome, or still obstacles that you still are working on and still like working on overcoming. Is there anything else you want to add to that? I mean, that's a really good.
I feel like it's never ending. I mean, constant themes are always popping up for sure. But I know for me, because I'm really giving, you know,
Mm-hmm.
my job, I give all day long. As a mom, we give, you know, our lives are built around what we can do for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to learn a lot about when it's enough, for us to give enough of myself away without damaging my own personal integrity, or maybe having, you know, given too much. Now I'm drained.
Right.
So those boundaries have been, I think, something that's been a big struggle in my life. When I was in Toronto, I mean, I worked 9 to 9. Like, I loved my job. I didn't care. I didn't have kids. I was going home to nobody. And that masculine side of me rules.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a doer. I do. And a friend said it to me the best a couple days ago. She goes, the last 15 years of your life, all you've done is do. And now it's be. I'm like,
How do you do that?
I don't. I'm learning. So I think that's been something that's really been a trend, in just trying to hold space for myself. What is actually important to me?
Yeah.
I'm building, I'm making, and I'm welcoming other people into that. And so what does that allow me to do now? And how do I just live in the space of the creation that I've made when I still want to do more to get next, but just be here.
Yeah.
That's a hard, it's a hard thing when you're, I mean, I'm building on a new business concept right now, and you know, I've been working on that for, about 7 months or so now. So it's, how do you keep that alive while still just being more feminine in this receiving state? Right now, it's really in the receiving state for me, is where I kind of have blocks come up. How, you know, in my life, I think the trends have always been that I receive in the non-conventional ways, you know, the ways that we don't expect when we say, I did it, now let's receive it. I'm ready for it, give it to me. But it's about really waiting for that to come in, and those gifts don't come in the right package sometimes.
Right.
In our
How we're expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and also too, don't you learn the most about yourself when you're in that unnatural state of being versus doing? Because when you're doing, that's easy for you. That's simple. You can do that. You can do in your sleep.
Yeah.
You know. So really going, wow, look at all this wonderful things I'm learning about myself in this not natural to you, not natural state to you.
No, it's not a natural state just to sit in it, and to be really present, but be really aware and okay that I'm on the right path, because it's about those like go hard, rest, you know, put your energy into it, let it kind of, you know, you turn the pot on, let it boil, and you got to let it simmer a little bit, right? And that simmering phase of just like letting it cook down and kind of meld into that, like whatever it's going to be, it makes it really taste great in the end. But if we just boil the shit out of it, we end up burning it.
Right. That's a great analogy.
Yeah. That one just came to me.
I love it.
But it's like, that's what it feels like. Like, that's where it feels like, okay, I'm making the sauce, and I just got to like let all the flavors kind of meld out of it and just soak it all in. Yeah. And that's, I think, been a real tough thing, because it feels unproductive. Right. And I feel like I'm in that transitional phase of I'm not doing enough. Mm-hmm. And I think we get caught in that a lot as moms or as business owners or women, men. I don't know. I think everyone gets stuck in it. I don't think it's just us women, but we recognize it more for that emotional, I think, awareness that we have, sure, and we're always striving for. But it's tough.
Yeah, good. So you started, I think you were saying a couple weeks ago, you started doing some radical self-care practices over the past bit. So it's definitely a question I like to talk about, because I think, self-care feels like it's like kind of a buzzword right now, but it's like, it's a buzzword of something that is absolute requirement, and it looks different for everybody. So like, it bugs me, like, are people like, self-care isn't a manicure, except when it is. Self-care should be this, or self-care, this and that. And I'm like, self-care, as long as it feels like self-care, that's truly, for me at least.
Take care of yourself.
Right. So don't tell me what my self-care is. So I'm curious, you were talking a lot about going, this is what I'm feeling drawn to. As far as your self-care routine, I'd love for you to share what you're doing.
Cool. So I have a spiritual practitioner that I see. Her name is Colleen. We've been working together just over a year, and she helps me to align to what it is that I'm going to be working on, and can kind of clear the crap that I don't need to be working on at this time, and things that are affecting me at lower frequencies. And she's brought awareness to the fact that in my doing state of go, 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 I check things off my list. So I've always taken care of myself, but I haven't invested and aligned to those frequencies of taking care of myself. So I've gone for a massage every 2 weeks. Check. Went for my massage. Okay. I went for my massage. Now I do you want to do it? Like, it was one of those things. And so she broke it down for me, and she said, you really have to invest in it and set an intention for it and hold that space for what you need. I go, well, what the heck do I need? She goes, that's for you to figure out. So sit in that. Say, okay, today I need to do this, and this is how it feels. I've readjusted my work schedule significantly in terms of this service providing role. I've never, honestly, and I say this to my clients even, and they laugh, I've never, ever wanted to be a service provider. I've never wanted to be in a room massaging faces all day long, doing laser, whatever it is. I just have never wanted to do that. But I did it because I had to do it in order to get what I am, which I get. So I'm thankful for that. And now I take Wednesdays off. I have Mondays off as well, but I'm home with my son. So that's our time together. Usually about a half day I spend with him. He usually visits grandparents and stuff the other half, which is nice. Because a half day is my tolerance. I find my limit with my children is a half day. I can make anything happen. If we're in a full day situation, it gets rough.
Yeah.
Wednesdays, the kids all go to school and daycare. And I say it's Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
I recently have hired a Kundalini yoga coach. So I go for about an hour and a half of this practice. And I chose Kundalini based on the breath work and the aggressive release properties that it has. I've been fighting a parasitic infection in my body since, well, I don't know when exactly, because parasites can lie dormant, but it's been flared up since February, which is probably a stress thing for sure, because it's been a huge year. And I think when you push the limits and you're really charging through your life, you just stir up a lot of stuff, which is okay. And I've welcomed this, and I'm putting myself through this, which has caused me to have eczema on my body, mind fog. A lot of angers really come up because parasites from a spiritual cause are a manifestation of anger.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So it was a really whole approach that I'm trying to take to this. And I was seeing every doctor, and no one could heal me. No one could really figure it out. And I finally said to myself, I have to figure this out. And so Colleen was the one that really helped me figure out that you have a parasite. You need to get on this kind of herbs. So I go to find the herbs and no one has them. So I have to wait. And I'm in this phase of waiting, and it's forcing me to look in other directions. And that's really when I found Kundalini and just the life force that it brings out in us, and having a background in Ayurvedic beauty and lifestyle. It really brought that forward for me, and it really aligned to who I was. And it's weird for people to see, your mouth's open, you're like sticking your tongue out, you're breathing heavy, you're chanting. It's a very intense practice, but I feel really comfortable in it. And I really love how after I go, I feel really aligned to my body and in tune to myself. And it's really about me, and that's what it's supposed to be. Another thing that I love to do is obviously like my Reiki. Fridays, I'll get my nails done at work. Like I'll go in and just get my pedicure, maybe get my nails done, whatever I have going on that week. But my other favorite thing is floating.
So are you new to it? Pretty new to it?
Pretty new to it. So when it opened at Float Lakeshore there and at Integrative Healings there, I went in and I'm wanting to do it. Like I kept seeing it, and I'm not a water person. I'm like, we have a pool and I'll lay by the pool, but I like a hot. So it's like, I don't like being in the water. So I was kind of hesitant, but I went in, and I remember going in that day and I felt really like drained and down and just foggy. I blacked out inside the chamber while I was floating, and I had the best sleep of my entire week. And I came out feeling so rejuvenated and ethereal, and all of these just fluttery emotions that were really big. I got in my car and I just remember being like, wow, like this feels so good. And so I knew I had to do it. So I go every couple weeks. I've bought my husband a gift card now, and he really enjoys going too, which is kind of great. And something that I think another part of my self-care that's really important for me has been craniosacral therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I go weekly, probably for about, I took a break, but I was going probably for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I go weekly. And everyone's like, I don't understand why you go so frequently. But for those who don't know about craniosacral therapy, it's a minor manipulation of the spinal cord fluid that releases tension, toxins, and improves that flow from the base of our spine, where our life force is in our stomach, all the way up to our brain. So you can think of that fluid as moving very slowly. We may feel lethargic, feel anxiety, because the messages aren't kind of getting there.
Mm-hmm.
So we feel stuck. Yeah. But it's a really great physical healing, combined with a bit of the spiritual aspect as well, based on Cindy's touch.
Yeah.
And you really align to that grounding and just the clarity that you need in order to move forward. So that is something that I don't even really consider self-care. It's more like a necessity. Like that is
not negotiable.
It is like, this is not, no, I'm not missing it. It's weekly stuff. And I even noticed too, when my husband goes, not as, spiritually in tune as I am, but he's open to it, which I'm so grateful for.
Yes.
And I notice a difference too when he goes, how he can manage his stress and, just exist in his own space too.
Yeah. Awesome.
Like, that's wellness.
I've been meaning to stop there, and it's like, shit. Yeah, I know. I should just drop in.
Yeah, you feel sick the first time you go.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a headache. You feel a little nauseous, perhaps. But yeah, way worth it.
Totally worth it, man.
Way worth it.
Awesome. Oh, I love it. I love that it's like I'm trying new things, and I think that's a really important point too, because maybe floating is for me. Maybe it's not, but I will never know if I don't at least try it and collect information, saying like, okay, I went in feeling, checking it. How do I feel right now? Going in, doing it, and then checking in again. And
I think you have to look at like how you layer everything. And especially doing a day like I do, which I go for my massages regularly. That's something that I think is a non-negotiable as well. But how I layer other healings with that floating. So I had gone to Kundalini, then I floated. I probably float and then go to Kundalini.
Right.
So how those, therapies kind of integrate together, and where they leave my body and what state I need to kind of complete everything to be whole. So I think that's really,
amazing. That's awesome. Really, really good. So like, I think about this a lot personally, and it's something I hear from friends and from clients around feeling guilty about taking so much time for ourselves. Not especially when we're busy. Everyone's busy, right? So, being a partner and a mom and a business owner and having friends, and then going, oh yeah, and me. And, even though intellectually we know we have to take care of ourselves, we have to fill up our cup, we know those things, doesn't mean we don't sometimes feel those pangs of guilt about doing it. So my question to you is really, do you feel guilty? Maybe you don't. But if you do, how do you work through that?
Perfect. Oh, so I think I'm sometimes an exception to this, because I went back to work 6 days after I had my first baby. And I'm not saying exception like I'm exceptional, but it's in that,
yes, you are.
It's in that thanks. But it's the light of like, I'm very sure of who I am. In most cases. When I'm clear in my own mind, when I'm not looking at what everyone else is putting on me, I know exactly who I am. And that's when people start putting their things on me, that's when I kind of get the, wait, like, is this right?
Right.
And I know that I am my best when I'm working, I have purpose, I'm really taking care of myself, I'm taking the time to do things that make me feel good. And yes, I feel guilty because in this transitional phase of running now 2 businesses that kind of overlap and integrate together, I'm trying to find that, it's not a balance, but that dance with everything, right? Like that flow of like, okay, now we gotta go, now we gotta stay, now we gotta do this. And it's kind of all over the place. So my guilt sets in when I miss bedtime routine. And not 2 nights a week, but when I hit 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
I find that's my limit. I find that being away from them is hard on repeat, like on a regular basis. I'm like, it's fine. Everybody's fine.
Yes.
I've always had a really supportive family. We're all really close. My mother-in-law lives around the corner and her mom lives down the street. My parents are down the street. My grandparents are across. Everyone works really close. So I've always had that access to help. And I've always believed in that community approach. And I know that that's what I need.
Yeah.
I need more people to help me. And I think children are more well-rounded when they are just learning to be loved by others and seeing what love looks like on different levels. So I always try to come back to that, but that's okay. And it's okay for my husband to put them to bed 3 nights a week.
Yes.
That's okay. That's their thing, and I'll be honest, Jessica, like he's better at it than I am. Like, honestly, if I had to look at my whole life and say like, where are we at?
Yes.
I'd say you stay home and you take care of the kids. You cook supper. You primarily fulfill those wifely duties because you're actually really great at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Like, I got a couple dishes in my repertoire for sure,
Yeah.
you know, and I can do it a couple days a week, but I know that my limit is like twice.
Right.
I can cook 2 meals a week, and then I'm like, pizza, like I'm over it. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, a spouse that's really amazing at that too, I don't feel really guilty because I know that the kids are probably in better hands with someone who has more patience to deal with their, you know, bedtime antics, because I'm very business.
Yes. Well, and that goes back to knowing yourself, right? Knowing yourself and who you are and what your strengths and not strengths are. It makes sense to have someone who's complementary like that so that you can, you know, flow off of each other.
I think too, when you do feel the guilt, like to answer that second part of the question, it's like I put a stop in things, and I kind of have to reassess and realign things. So sometimes it's okay, I have to make time to be home this day, so I have to cut this off my plate. Or I'm not going to go into work like I had a client and I wasn't feeling the best, and I was like, I called the spa and I said, guys, you have to cancel my one client today. It was a Saturday. I said, I'm not coming in. I said, I don't feel the best and I'm just not doing it. I'd like to be home with the kids. My staff member says, well, I can do it. Yeah, you can.
Yes.
You're here all day till 2. Go ahead and do it. And it enabled me to be able to stay home and be with my family.
Yeah.
But knowing when you're in that balance and you kind of know what's enough and what's too much, and where you're like, okay, I'm picking up what I'm putting down. And maybe that comes down to like that weekly plan of really organizing your time to make sure that, yeah, I'm taken care of, my family's taken care of, and my work's taken care of. And I think when we can like see it all and it's working for us, whatever that looks like, because it's different for everyone, then I think then we can just let go of that guilt, because we filled up all of our cups. And I know I've given everyone enough of me, and I make time, you know, when those feelings set in, I really try to make that time to be present. And even if it is just an hour, I'm really only good for half a day, you know? So if that's what I can give them, then I will totally align to that half a day, and I'm going to completely just be there for them. If I feel like I've, you know, not been around, you know, we do fun things, special things. I'm an experienced person, so we just try to find more experiences or make more times to do things.
Well, and being all in for half a day instead of half-assing a full day, and not that you would, but I don't even mean half-assing. That's probably the poor choice of words. But it's going full in for half a day where you're getting 100% of my attention, versus a full day where I'm getting distracted periodically throughout the day. I would rather half a day of just a solid, and that's probably enough for them too. They're probably like, okay, I'm good, Mom.
They're like other things, right? They're like, okay, we've had enough of you. You're annoying me now too. So, great.
Totally. Oh, awesome. That's really good. You were talked a little bit about themes in the beginning. So, you know, what would you say, what themes are coming up for you right now in this phase of the end of the year? You know, yeah,
there's a lot of, we were talking before we went on recording there, just about this whole fuzzy feeling lately. Everything's been a little challenging. Everything's feeling a little uneasy. You know, we'll chalk it up to Mercury. We'll say it was the full moon, whatever. You know, we had all these things coming up, and it's stirring up a lot within us. And I think this time of year, people spend a lot of time reflecting. Everyone's kind of in a reflecting assessment state. Did I make the most out of my year? Did I spend my time wisely? Did I do everything I was wanting to do? And I remember this year and I said, I choose happy and healthy. And I tried to align my year to choosing everything that made me feel happy and everything that was going to make me feel healthy. When I started that intention, I actually had zero clue that I would battle one of the most chronic inflammatory, just life, like literally suffocating things I've ever felt in my whole life.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I had no idea that I would be flared up with eczema all over my body, have gut issues, food allergy intolerances, be trying 7 different diet plans, trying to find what's right. And even last night, I used chickpea flour to wash my body with in the shower, and I went into a complete allergic reaction and hives all over my body. And I'm like, okay, this is just
cross that off.
It was. So I think those themes of really this year for me has been a lot of my health, my personal health, but learning that I can create whatever I want, and I can manifest anything to happen, and I can create it. But if I am not aligned to those frequencies and energies of that creation, it's not going to stay.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the business alignment to that. It's about my body. My body has to align
to the volume,
to that frequency, that amount of work. And so I can create all these things to happen, but they're going to go away if I'm not choosing that frequency to live in. And so I've been aware of the food that I eat and how that influences it, the self-care products that I choose to use. You know, it's always easy to be like, I don't know where this product is, so I'm just going to grab this old one off the shelf, and my shampoo is, you know, this isn't the cleanest shampoo, and I'm traveling with it because it's the small size and whatever. But it actually really influences my frequency.
Yeah.
Being aware of these things this year, I've been able to make better choices that are aligned with my body. And, you know, even choosing sometimes not to be around friends or attend events, because I just can't give.
Yeah.
Because I need right now.
Yes.
And
yes.
I have a really hard time receiving, as we've discussed as well throughout this. I've learned this year that I haven't aligned to receiving. And it's been interesting in a lot of my healings this year. I just kind of put it together this week. Everyone has said, your left side's really off. You know, Cindy will always say, oh, but your left side, it's just so off. Your left side's really tight. Oh, your left side has some tension.
Yeah.
When my rash came in, my eczema came in, it was left side. It was my left side of my mouth, my left side of my neck, my left side down my arm. And even if I stand today, you can see left side is more predominant.
Mm-hmm.
A lady came over to give me this electro reflux treatment on my feet. She said, feel it. And I said, well, my right foot feels it. She goes, oh, you have blocks on your left side. This was just on Sunday. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay, I've heard this message way too often. What are we talking about? What are we really talking about? And the more that I looked into the research of it, the left side is about receiving.
Of course it is.
So no problem, right? And that's our feminine side. The left side's that feminine side. And I rule in that masculine energy of do, you know, and that very firm, strong, dominant energy. And it's this, you know, on Wednesday at Kundalini, I just focused on really clearing that left side and feeling the flow of the energy through that left side. And I think when we are more in tune with our bodies in that way, we're able to kind of figure out what all these messages are.
Mm-hmm.
I think I encourage more people to really listen to our bodies. We have all the answers. We know exactly what we need, and we are our best healers. And when I made that choice for myself, even 4 weeks ago it was, and I said, I'm not going to any other practitioners to go have them do more things for me. I have to do for me.
Yeah.
It's been big, but making sure that it makes me happy.
Yeah.
And it makes me healthy. And I literally set that intention without even knowing where this year was going to take me, but it was a really true theme this year.
Yeah. And the universe is like, oh, happy and healthy. We'll see.
Uh-huh. We're like, we're going to test you. We're going to give you some of the crappiest health of your whole existence for a prolonged period of time. It pushed me to make some decisions about really moving out of my service role at work and seeing on a regular basis, because my hands were so inflamed, they're bleeding and itchy and dry and irritated, and it pushed me right out of that because I wasn't ever supposed to be there. Yeah. And when I look at Ayurvedic constitution and who I am, you know, Ayurvedically, I'm very Vata. I'm very much so like wind, and I have that Pitta energy, and I'm literally just like blowing in, making it happen, and I'm supposed to like
blow back out again.
Come in, and I'm supposed to go. You know, that windy storm, it really is quite fiery.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so, it's profound. And I could not agree with you anymore with, looking in yourself for your own healing. And we're constantly looking exterior to ourselves for the answers, right? All of the time. And sometimes that's absolutely required, but for most of what we need, it is truly inside of ourselves. We just have to listen. It's hard.
It is hard. It is a lot of work for us to sit and be honest.
I think we trust ourselves too, because I know what I need. And I'm like, no, that's not right.
No. How could you be right? How would you know the answer? Why would you know what you need?
Right. And it's like the same thing comes for me personally, it comes to me all of the time, and I'm consistently pushing it away. Yeah. So I know I need to listen. Not listen, I listen. I just need to do. I need to take action on what I'm hearing. It's just funny though.
Like we do not. And that came up too this year. Like so I'm into Reiki and crystal healing and energy work and all of these things myself. And I incorporated into my facials and my practice and all of these things. And my pendulums kept going missing. And my pendulum was my tool to check, make sure I was right.
Yeah.
Well, my pendulums were gone because I was supposed to just trust what I thought I knew and know you. And it's all the same. Yeah. So it was an interesting, lesson there, even just to know you can trust yourself.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. Thank you. How can people get in touch with you? What's the best way to connect with you?
Perfect. So it really depends. I have a gazillion email addresses now. I have 3 web domains. I'm not even sure. Obviously, we have EmileeFernandes.com, which has become my latest and greatest adventure of my Gem Aesthetics Academy and my schooling. Services-wise at the spa, Gem Glam Organic Medical Spa in Harrow, a frequency and healing spa focusing on Ayurvedic healing, crystal healing, energy work. I don't really know how to lump it up. And what I say is it's a collaborative aesthetic, it's collaborative aesthetics. It's combining a little bit of the medical side, more of the science side, and the energy work, and really take care of that whole body. I can't explain it much more than that, but it's really an experience sort of thing. So
it is. You're going to feel awesome when you go. Trust me. Yeah.
So cool. I know. Sometimes I wish I could receive my own therapy, right? Really get in there and be like, oh, is this so fresh? Like I would love to be a first-time customer walking through the door and see what that's really like. But obviously we're a little past that. So
yeah, exactly. And it's hard too, because it's like, because you're like, you need someone that already know and trust who hasn't already been there to come and you'd be like, okay, tell me all about me.
Tell me all about what it is, But I think it's a really good point, just to kind of understanding further. I mean, it's not perfect. As we always say, it's progress, not perfection.
That's right. It's so true.
But it's moving through those kinds of emotions to say, yeah, we're on the right path.
Yeah.
That's really it. I'm on Facebook, Instagram.
Send me stuff. I'll put every way I know how to get a hold of you. I'll put in the notes. If there's anything else, shoot it over, and I'd be happy to add it to the notes as well. Fabulous. And I just want to leave us with your favorite. Narrow down your one favorite personal development book or practice. Hard to narrow it down, but you can do it.
It's so hard. It is so hard. For me, it's podcasts.
Yeah.
I've really connected to the one. It's called the Higher Self Podcast.
Okay.
Just picked it up this week. I picked up like 6 episodes this week. It really is about Ayurvedic living. So awesome. Her book is Ayurveda for Dummies. But Ayurveda is that science that looks at the entire body as a whole, and it's the oldest life science.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a life science that governs us. And it talks about how we are the earth and we are the ground. And even through diet, because that's been something that I've been really working and playing with this year, how that our bodies recognize only elements of the earth. And when we put other things into our body, it becomes waste and it becomes toxic, and our body doesn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so learning what I know about lymph drainage and all the rest of it, it all comes full circle. And when you look at all the schools of thought and you go through whatever it is, they really all are the same. Everyone has the same underlying message. And that podcast for me was really, inspirational in terms of like learning more about myself, understanding my body, great tips and tricks for, just living a cleaner life. A lot of just information, I think. And I believe in education, obviously, but people educating themselves and understanding more about it so they can empower themselves to make those choices. Very
awesome. I'll have to check that one out. I'm starting, I don't know why I don't do more podcasting, because I listen to tons of audiobooks. So podcasting seems absolutely logical.
It's like a little like mini blip. It's like your like daily inspiration. And it's just like, go for it. I know.
Perfect.
I've been doing that more than TV. Like, I have a husband who loves TV, hockey games, TV, whatever. Kids like to have their shows on. But my thing's like headphones in, podcast on. That's my jam.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Oh my God. This was awesome. I can't wait to listen to it again already. So much good information in here. And then, so I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Emilee.
Thanks, Jess.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye.